You're live. Yep.
We're live.
It worked.
It worked. Ow. Okay.
Let's get the other one set up. Oh, you can see the camera. It's not that big of a deal.
I'll zoom in a little bit.
Yeah, fix the.
Hey y'all, we are live. Yes. Hey y'all, we are. Did I press live?
No, you're not talking to anybody. Well, I mean, you're talking to the people at YouTube.
My bad.
On YouTube.
We are live now. Hey, we'll give folks a minute to tune in, but we are excited. And to know that we are live, to get alerted so that you can join this conversation. We are excited to talk about part 3 of our conversation on, how to make herbalism a sustainable career for you, how to make more than 100K, how do you more than just survive in this very interesting industry of ours. So, hey, y'all on Instagram.
Hey, Instagram.
Hey, YouTube. And we have done part 1, part 2, and this is part 3. So I definitely recommend heading to our YouTube channel to check out parts 1 and 2. We talked about mindset, which is huge because we are all graduating beyond broke healer mindset. We're graduating.
Raising up.
We're raising our bar outside of the broke healer archetype. We are all meant to be here and abundant and supported and prosperous. So we talk a lot about mindset in part 1. We also talked about understanding your numbers and like financial systems that you need to create in order for this to be a sustainable path for you. Because if you don't know your numbers, you're probably not making as much money as you think, and you're probably spending a lot more than you actually are. So definitely check out part 1. And then part 2, we go into a bunch of different it was part 1 too, but we go into a bunch of different business models that herbalists can like create their ecosystems from.
Yeah, because so many times you're thinking, oh, it just has to be an apothecary, or oh, I can only do consultations. And there's so many different ways that you can show up in this work.
Yeah.
And so we went over, I think, 6.
I
don't think we did do retreats in
maybe.
So. I don't know. I didn't review the last one, but we went over 7 different business models. But before you go into the hybrid model, I want to talk about another business model that came up on our Herbal Medicine for the Soul call. If you don't know, Herbal Medicine for the Soul is our mentorship program. It's our big program. It's amazing. You
basically learn a different person to be an herbalist and how to set up your business and like how to be a really great clinician for people. So it's a really comprehensive, just kind of like one-stop shop program. And we've done all parts of it really well.
Yeah. So on Thursday, we had our business talk. So the talks range from different things. And Thursday was our business talk. And what came up was someone was like, I just want to see clients. Like, I just kind of want to just sit and talk, but I don't want to make the medicine. I don't want to have to do that. And then someone else on the call said, oh, I don't want to sit and talk to people. I just want to sit and make the medicine.
Yeah.
And so I was like, that's a great business model, not necessarily partnership, not necessarily like you two going to business together, but a business model of saying, I only do consultations, and someone else's business model of saying, I only do formulary.
Kind of like white label.
Right. For herbalists. Yeah. And so making those kind of relationships, I think is really good, because so many times we hear people see all the things that happen with an apothecary and being having something like this, and they're like, I thought I wanted that, and I don't.
It's a lot.
It is a lot. And so we really want to show people that it could be more.
Yeah.
Right. There's not a box, and you don't have to always check these boxes that other people have checked. You can you can really create your own
ecosystem.
and you say that all the time.
Mhm. And we've tried all of these. So
We
we're
have tried
speaking
all
from
of these.
experience in that, like, you need to try the different ecosystems and also understand like how each of them individually can scale so that you can have a sustainable career and income within it. And so, yeah, and let us know in the chat if you have any questions that come up along the way. We're here to help, but definitely check out part 1 and part 2 on our YouTube channel. And they all have the same thumbnail. So it's like, how to make this purple, how to make 100K plus, parts 1, part 2,
part 3.
And then this is part 3.
And then if they hop over to YouTube, it'll be easier to answer the questions because I've got my handy dandy keyboard right here instead of trying to do it on the phone.
The IG screen.
Right. So go ahead. Now we're on to hybrid models.
Yeah, hybrid models. So
you wrote hybrid models equals magic.
So this is like combining the different models that you can have as an herbalist. And something that we do, which is an example of that, is our Herbal Medicine for the Soul mentorship program, along with our family pharmacy program, which is really great for beginners. And so that's like having the course and then bundling it with a physical product. So in our case, that is both of those programs are bundled with herb kits to really help. Think about herb kits to really help people just narrow the friction for people of when they're learning herbalism at home or online, that it's like, send them the herbs they're going to need, because that friction point really prevents people from, I think, having that experiential training with herbalism
and diving in, and then getting caught in decision fatigue.
Yeah,
like, should I get this one or should I get that one? Like, what's the difference? Should I buy a pound?
And no,
you just learned about this herb and it's fantastic. Let me go buy a pound of it.
And you're super excited, and you don't need a pound when you're a beginner.
You sure don't.
A pound is a lot of herbs. So thinking about, I think a great way to kind of frame hybrid models is thinking about what you're offering and what can lower the friction for somebody to get started and to start learning and growing. I think a lot of people too, this kind of like certificate kind of craze in our industry hangs people up. And it shouldn't, because it's a very interesting like field that we're in, where the certificate thing seems really important to people, but actually experience with the herbs is
far more important.
And so all of these kind of like online programs where people are just reading and learning about, just reading and consuming information
and
about
not
plants,
doing,
and then suddenly getting
a
certificate. It's like, you're not equipped, you're not capable. I hate to burst all those bubbles, but
you will.
I will.
You get your pin?
Yeah. Like, herbalism is a super experiential craft and discipline and industry. And so you want to lower the friction for people, like get them into, if you're doing workshops, if you're doing education, and offer the herbs right along with them is a great way to lower the friction.
And if you're not in a position to be able to offer them, I think if you can give them a guide to reputable farmers or other herb shops or apothecary, I think that also will lower the friction.
Yeah. And we've done that with, like, don't think like, oh, I have to develop a big mentorship program or big program in order to do that. We've even done that with just one-off classes. I can't remember which one off the top of my head, but like, if it was just a one-off class and we said, okay, you can order, you have the option to also order the herbs so that they land right at your doorstep. And on that class, which was live, like, we can virtually be making everything together.
We've done those for workshops.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's a nice hybrid model. The other one is, it's again lowering the friction. So think about consultations. If people who love working one-on-one with people and really love like developing the blueprint for them and supporting them along the way, having them have someone that they can be accountable to, which is you, can be really supportive, but also bundling that with the custom herbal medicine, with the custom herbalism, as well as that like written blueprint.
Right.
Along the way. And then, want to talk about that one?
Care guide?
No, the retreats.
Oh, the retreats.
We talked about retreats as a single model, but retreat plus.
Oh, we did.
Yeah. You can always bundle things, retreats plus workshops plus herbal products. Think about it, the more you bundle, the more value someone will get out of your ecosystem. And one of the things is like, you're always trying to consider the journey of someone with you. And like, we talked about that last time, like developing that loyalty with you. And so the more that they can experience what you're offering, the more you're building trust, the more they're returning to you for their care. Yeah.
And looking to, and I was going to say, I agree. Yes. And I was also going to say with the retreats, that could also be bundled with your consultation or your course.
Yeah. Oh, great.
Right.
Yeah, we
so,
just did that.
So that's also another way. So of course you could do retreats on their own. But if you do want to do retreats and you do consultations and or you have a course, that also is another way of bringing your community together and keeping people in your ecosystem. Because we're doing our first retreat in June.
Yeah, like sometimes we've gathered for Herbal Medicine for the Soul, we've gathered for plant walks, and we've done like a day experience here. But just for our members only inside of Herbal Medicine for the Soul, we are doing our first retreat in New York on a farm, 127 acres. We're going to make medicine. We're going to walk the farm. We're going to do plant identification.
We're going to eat well, farm to table.
Literally, like farm to table and chef made.
Right.
Like, yes, this is going to be so good. But like thinking about these hybrid offerings, that's something that's only being offered for the people who are inside of Herbal Medicine for the Soul. So that just makes the value of our program and what you'll be offering, like our program, increase. Like we already do so much within it between training herbalists, and we give you business support, and we give you all this clinician support and
emotional support.
The emotional support, the medical astrology, and now this like addition of
the retreat.
Of the retreat. So just thinking about, if you can zoom out and think from your potential customer, your client's point of view, how can I lower the friction and how can I enhance their experience? And that will help you scale, and it'll help you build loyalty and a real community where people are rallying behind you.
And if you do an online course, it's another way to bring people together, right? So the beauty of an online course is you can have students from all over the world. The beauty of having an online course and then doing a retreat is now you get to bring people together. I know when we did our first like in-house retreat, I don't know, would you call that one a retreat?
It was a day retreat,
A day retreat. So many people came. Yeah. So many students came. They were so happy to be together and they loved it. But they loved that they got to learn at their own pace with the online port. So it was like, and that they had forever access, right? Like it never goes away. And so bridging those two together really made a beautiful experience.
And then, there's a note here too. Like, I think that for us, definitely for us, we did this. Don't do this. We say
that a lot.
I know
we did this. Don't do it.
Because like we have gone through all of the learning lumps. Oh my goodness, we have stories upon stories upon stories. And this is why we do this series, so that we can really share the stuff that people are not talking about behind the scenes in herbalism when you're an herbal business owner. And so the learning lump, one of the many learning lumps for us, is like how much we launch at once without really having almost like the marketing power behind each single offering to give it a substantial amount of time to grow and to develop and to scale. So our note is to start with one model and really expand intentionally.
And get that churning.
Yeah, get that churning, because like our ecosystem is big and we're about to contract it some. But what I have realized, like in all the ideation and like, I want to do this and I want to do this and I want to do this and I want to do this, what we have is too much to market. And in essence, like why that's important is because if you don't tell people what you have, they don't know.
Right.
And so that's the part behind marketing. It's like that messaging and that communication. And so every single thing that you offer, you constantly have to communicate that this is available to them. And I remember in an interview with Yolanda in Italy of Herbal Entrepreneur, that online conference. Hopefully you were able to see it. If you heard about it, keep it on your radar for next year. But in our interview, we were talking about the gap of what we say versus what people actually realize we have is so
big.
It is just enormous. We think we're constantly saying, you're teaching in your content and letting people know, like, oh, I have this workshop, I have this mentorship program, I have this product, I have this tincture, I have this thing, and you as the owner are thinking you're saying it all the time.
Let me tell you.
Meanwhile, the consumer is like, maybe they've seen it once, probably most haven't seen it. And then when they're like, you teach? I tell you, when I get DMs asking me
if you teach,
if I teach,
I was just gonna say that, yeah,
I'm doing something wrong.
Right. I mean, that's a whole class, that's a whole discussion all in itself. Because when I think that when you're on the business owner side and you're pumping stuff out, you try to be mindful of like someone's mailbox, and you try to be mindful of someone's feed. And I think we need to stop, because it's coming from the place that thinking that people see everything you put out. They see every email you send with the thousands of emails people get a day. They see every post you put up with whatever their algorithm or what have you, and they don't. And so without that repetition, you really do fall through the cracks. And that is so true. That is a huge gap. Because I know I remember I read that and someone asked, do you teach? And I was like, that's the main thing we do. I was like, what do you mean? She teaches so much. And so to your point, that yes, that means that we're doing something wrong, because we're not communicating enough or properly that this
People
is
don't know that.
the main thing that we do. And I think it's also a little challenging, because you can't be salesy, and you want to make it entertaining.
Yeah.
And so sometimes someone just like checks you out for the entertainment and doesn't really get the whole message.
Yeah.
That's, I think, also why there has to be like that repetition. And I think that's also why I'm just going to dip my toe into social media for 1 second. I know this is not my wheelhouse, but I think that's also why we need to pay less attention to how many views something gets, because I think like the piece of content that you put up in which you might be teaching the most may get the least amount of views. And so you might stop doing that in favor of doing something that gets more views and is perhaps more entertaining, that's less teaching, or maybe you just kind of have to like figure out how to teach and be entertained at the same time. But my point is that if you look at those numbers, it could be very easy for someone to not know you teach, because you break from the content that is really speaking to you and what you do, and instead you're feeding the algorithm, or you're feeding the views, instead of really giving really
it's
teaching.
at the heart of your work. And we are kind of emphasizing teaching, like, because we've said this before in all of them and in so many of our other videos, at the heart, whether you're doing products or consultations or courses or retreats,
you're a teacher,
or speaking and thought leadership. I'm going through all the models, digital products and guides, brick and mortar. Herbalists are teachers. We are educators, because you are going to have people in all of those models who are like, what do you do? What is this? Herbs, how does this help? And you have to explain. You are educating at the core of all of it, no matter which model you choose. So we're kind of using that as a broad term of like, your content is teaching, you're teaching, regardless of the format that you do it in.
Right.
But our whole point around that was like, start low with the herbs. So like start low and go slow. And like, don't take score too soon. I think something that people do, especially if we were talking about content, like, and looking at the views, content's a whole, like, social media marketing, like, that's a whole skill set in and of itself. But I think sometimes people get really discouraged of like, oh, I put it up once, or oh, I did it once, or I, launched this class or this workshop and nobody signed up. You know what that means? yet.
Right.
Yet. All that is
Keep
yet.
going.
You just keep
I
going.
can't tell you how many
Yeah.
workshops we've done for one
For
person,
one. And
two
it's like,
people.
it's a snowball
Mhm.
effect with that level of like your commitment and your consistency. There's so many things that I've just taught to one person. That still happens where it's just like one person or none. And it's like, all right, but I'm going to show up and I'm going to do it
Right.
anyway.
Right.
I'm going to show up and I'm going to do it anyway because I also know how much consistency rewards. Where it's like that daily content for years, I was able to turn into some of it into an ebook, some of it into a lead magnet. So it's like everything that you're doing, no time is wasted.
Right. If you're thinking strategically about, well, how can I use this, and not thinking like, oh, no one showed up, this isn't working, I should stop.
No.
Because it's I mean, this is the long game. And I think that's also something for people to realize, like, you're playing a long game. I know still we launched something new and I'm like,
is anybody gonna sign up?
What? Crickets? Why is it crickets? I don't understand. Everyone asked for this, right? This happens too. Everyone asked for this. We do it. Where are you? Now, here's the thing. So we mentioned at the top of this call that we are doing our first retreat in January. And in June. Our first retreat in June. And just for herbal medicine for the soul students. Even within our closed community, people on our call on Thursday said, "You're doing a retreat? I didn't know you were doing a retreat." I was like, "What do you mean you don't know we're doing a retreat? We did an announcement. We sent an email. Like, it only went to you all."
Yeah, the gap.
Remember
that gap.
So that's like a great example. You're talking to a very hot audience. These are like, these people are on calls with you. You know them.
These people see us every week.
See them every week. You talk to them. You talk about deep stuff. Like, this is the community, and still they're like, "I didn't know you're doing that." And that is a perfect example of how you have to like say it over and over and over and over. And then you have people that are like, "Oh, that's right, I totally forgot." Because life happens, right? The email comes in, you see it, you're excited. Oh, that's fantastic. Something happens, you're off to the next, and you totally forgot to go back. And so I think those are really great examples as to why you have to keep reminding people and try to change that mindset of like, oh, I don't want to annoy you. I don't want to send you too many messages or whatever. I was just telling Salima the other day, I know this is not a marketing call, but one other thing. That's next. But one other thing. I was telling her the other day, I was like, I paid attention to my inbox today. And Yeti, I don't know if I don't have one with me. Oh. No, you don't either. If you're familiar with Yetis, they're a big company. The outdoor, they've got the thermos. We love their thermoses. In any event, in one day, they sent me 4 different emails, right? And so we always say big companies can send you 3,000 emails in a day. I'm exaggerating, of course. Old Navy sends crazy emails. But when a small business does it, you get the email back like, you send too many emails. Now, here's the thing. Yeti probably gets an email back too that you send too many emails. Here's the difference. They don't care. When you're small, you do care. It is deeply personal. You are the actual person that sat and typed it and hit send and watched the number go and watched the amount of people that opened it and the amount of people that clicked. So it's deeply personal, and you are pretty attached to that email that you sent. Oh, when we used to watch the unsubscribes, when we like had MailChimp, and I'd be like, "You unsubscribed? Like, what did I do wrong?" Just taking it so personally. And, oh my God. And so when you think of, and that's not a fair comparison of a small business or a micro business and like a large business, but the example speaks volumes in terms of frequency. They know they have to stay top of mind, one. They also know that you're not going to see all of these emails. So they're hoping that maybe you see 1 or 2 the whole week out of the 4 they sent you in one day. Yeah. And they have no attachment to it because whoever the team is or the people that write that email, I mean, they don't care. It goes back to a no reply. Yeah. It goes to an inbox that probably no one ever checks.
because they know there's an unsubscribe button. And then that made me think about what our business strategist, whom we can only talk to once a year because it's just so
too hard.
intense. It's too hard. So we have already talked to David for 2025 and about the people who complain. Like you send too many emails, and we send an email a week, maybe, which is like not enough. To be honest, not enough. And it's always full of like rich depth and stuff beyond not the point. He was like, those people
don't get on your feels.
I know. He was like, those people weren't going to buy from you anyway.
Right.
I was like, oh, right. You're right.
You're right.
Like,
you're right.
About that.
Right.
People are always looking for like a reason to rule you out. So if you're that easily ruled out, they weren't your client anyway.
And so you can just keep it moving.
You can just keep it moving.
And keep space for the people that are your clients.
Especially with like, we're talking about scaling and like email service providers. You are paying for those contacts.
So if you ain't going to buy, delete. You don't have to stay. I'm paying for you. You pay for every single one of those contacts in there. You're like, I'm good. Okay. You good? I'm good.
You good. I'm
Later.
Good. Right. What was the other thing I was going to say? I don't remember.
I know you looked at me because I go off on my tangents.
I know. I was trying to keep it right here.
Yeah, I know. That's why you have to write notes
to keep right here, and I only remembered
for
one.
future note taking.
So yes, start with one model. Get that churning, and what that means is like that there's some revenue predictability. There's some revenue predictability, which means if you back into that, there's some marketing predictability on your end, marketing consistency on your end. So get that churning where there's some predictability before expanding into a new model. But we know like herbalists are inherently super creative, so we're going to want to do all the things all at once.
Is that herbalist or is that you?
You know, whatever.
You're like, whatever, I'm an herbalist.
And then, so then we talk, this is you, systems to support your growth. And we talked about some of this too, because there's the financial systems, but then there's the operating systems. And we have a really good video on our YouTube page about
systems,
the financial systems that are free.
It's alive
to help you manage your money. Free 99, manage your money. That was another live, so check that out too.
I don't remember what it's called, but I'm pretty sure systems was in the title.
And money, yeah, you'll find it. It's in the live section.
It's in there.
But we were kind of talking about this in the last Herbal Medicine for the Soul call too. Where we were
Simple money systems. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to find it.
We were talking about email. We were talking about websites.
On our call it was a really great call on Thursday, because when you've been in something for so long, you've become married to your system, whatever it was you kind of committed to. So for example, our e-commerce right now is Shopify. And so, but when we started way back yonder,
went from WordPress.
We did go from WordPress.
How long?
But when we first started, Wix just came out and it wasn't the jam at the time. But that came up in our conversation and they're like, Wix is the jam. Yeah. They're like, you can do your classes on there. You can do your consultations on there. You can do your coaching. You can do your e-commerce. And I was like, oh, wow. So I am not saying like, if you have a system, go rebuild a system. That's not a good idea, because that's just not a good use of your time if it's working for you. Yeah. But what I would say is that these systems are always changing. And if they have longevity, they really ramp up in terms of being having a lot of options. Now, with that said, I always think of if there are too many options, how many things are you doing bad, right? So a lot of times I'll look and I'll be like, well, if this is a one-stop shop, are they doing everything? Because it's hard. Are you doing everything equally well, or is like all kind of mediocre? Is it all mediocre, or is there one? And I understand, right? Because you're trying to keep people in your ecosystem, and that's kind of where we are now, right? If you went back 10 years, people weren't trying to do all the things. Like you would do one thing, and you'd have to like buy something else to even put a shopping cart in. Mail it together. Yeah, there wasn't even like one solution, like with a shopping cart. And so I'm probably aging myself, but in any event, but now we're really in a time in which people are trying to keep you in their ecosystem. And so they want to offer all the things so that they can be your payment provider. Your payment processor. They can be your contact management. They can send your emails. They can do your courses. They can do your e-commerce. But I would also encourage people to do due diligence with their systems to see how well do they do all the things that you want them to do. And they're going to grow and, hopefully get better. But I would say that is definitely a change in the SaaS world and the services, system as a service. So.
Software as a service.
Thank you.
Hurting yourself.
I know. I've been hurting myself a lot. I was like, come on, you're in there. Wake up. It's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. So for e-commerce and things like that, that was I know you're like, what are you doing, Tammy? This is live. It's like, this is our personalities.
It is.
But the point was that I had written off Wix and then found out it had really, it's really strong and it's a really good option.
Yeah. And too, I think because there's that timing element of like when to start getting systems, when to start paying for things based on where you are in your business journey, how much sales you're generating, to think about. Because one of our students on the call was just starting with their readings and thinking like, oh, I need to get a website immediately. And I'm like, no, you don't.
You just send them a cash app.
You send them a cash app. You set up a little link tree. Like people they're already saying that they want this. So back to that previous point of like, lower the friction. They're ready to pay. Don't send them. That's friction. You're ready to pay. The person sends you to an extra step. Now the person gets distracted and forgets to. Right. I'm just going to send you a cash app right now. You can just pay that invoice. and we can set up our time to have this little reading. So it's like thinking about that too, where sometimes we jump to systems too soon when the customers already trust you and they're like, no, I'm ready to buy. Just tell me how. So it's not to say don't, but there's definitely a nuance because I think sometimes people want the systems to feel like I'm legitimate. And it's like the customer already said, I want it. Right. I mean, have a system so that you know what you're doing and to. Yeah. Like be building it, but don't be like, well, wait. Oh, don't wait for me to build a website so then I can send you to my website. No, and then you can pay. Like, no, the person's ready. No, get that money, honey. Don't do that. Don't do that. But I would say we're also in a really exciting time in which a lot of companies will give you free forever. Now, yes, it is free forever until you hit a benchmark and then it's not free anymore. But when you're just starting out, free forever will last you a really long time. So for example, Notion. We're not moving to Notion because we've already committed to ClickUp, but this is a project management. And so But it's a database. It's like you can make it whatever you want. If anyone is familiar with Notion, but you can do a free forever. So if it's just you, I just learned this today. If it's just you, you could be free forever. As soon as you invite someone else, I invited you. That's why they were like, you got to pay now. But if you don't invite anybody, if you want it free forever, same login. I know. I was like, anyway. So in any event. It really is free forever. And then you can build it out. And then if you like it, then you can pay for it if there's extra things you need. But a lot of times, especially in the beginning, in that solopreneur space, that's all you need. And our Slack is still free. What else do we do? That is, you lose your messages after 90 days, but you're like, that's all right. Don't put messages in there that you need after 90 days. There's a lot of like little hacks, but that is something that's different because I do remember when we were starting and getting our systems in, like free wasn't an option. Like there was a lower tiered plan, but there weren't as many of these like free options. No. Yeah.
What other?
Yeah, just I mean, some of this is it just depends on where people are in their business journey. But like you do want a payment option, but don't make friction for people. You don't need a website to take payment.
Hold on. I want to talk about the payment thing too, because this came up a lot. I mean, Thursday was a really great call. A lot came up in that Thursday call. So you're going to give a lot of money to payment processors. They're going to take their chunk. And so when you told our student, like, send them a Cash App, I was like, oh my gosh. And people, I used to think that people would feel like this is a scam, unprofessional, and they don't. And you don't get any fees taken out of you. They send you $100, you get $100. And I'm telling you, that 2% plus 30 cents adds up so fast. You want your 2% plus 30 cents, okay? You don't want to keep giving it away. So really work those options to the best of your ability as long as you can, as long as it's in alignment with how you're moving.
I mean, somebody just paid us Venmo today.
Yeah.
I'm like, great.
So yeah, people will email and be like, can I just Zelle you? I'd be like, you sure can. I wish you would. I wish you would. I wish everyone would. You want to pay me that way. Yeah. Because when you look at how much, at the end of the year, when I look at our profit loss statement and I look at that line, the fees line, I was like,
they take a big chunk. It adds up. Yeah.
What else, boss?
I think I do want to bring up, we have a note here about hiring support and like VAs. And I think, again, it's like that nuance too, where I think sometimes people want a VA to do the tasks that they don't want to do, but that they don't know how to do yet. And we've, again, learning lumps. We have done this. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it, because when you hire for a task that you don't know how to do, and you're too overwhelmed. So you're in an emotional state in which you're too overwhelmed to try to like figure out the basics or the fundamentals. You're not going to hire well. And then you don't know when that person's messing up. And you
don't know the questions to ask.
You don't know the questions to ask. So it's like, you kind of need to know the fundamentals of something,
right?
Of the thing that you're saying you want help with. So that you can be the manager of that person and do it well. We've hired so many people who are just like, I just don't want to do this thing. I don't understand it. It makes my head spin. Not in a good emotional state about it. Not actually like rising to my capability or your capability to like learn the fundamentals.
A bookkeeper is a great example of that, at least for us.
Yeah. I mean, our second one was great, but we learned from not having a great one. And like the books being like completely
messed up. And kind of asking questions about
like, we don't know. So it's tough because it is like, solopreneur, and there's already a bunch of things that you got to learn in addition to like being a proficient herbalist. Mm-hmm. But I would just caution against hiring too soon especially because it's likely going to be virtual support, hiring too soon before you really understand like what you want and what questions to ask. And like, how do you measure somebody's progress and somebody's like work if you don't have some kind of understanding of it? And where I do see this happening too, and we're going to pop into that, is with social media. People are like, I don't want to do my own social media. I can't stand it, blah, blah, blah.
And I want to hire someone to do it, but you haven't found your voice.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And you can't just put up flyers. Like I saw this on someone else's social media page last week, and all it was like flyers, sales, buy my stuff. And it's like, that's why your audience isn't growing, because you're not offering support to them. You're not showing your face. Like, who is this? It just all looks like stock photo and buy my stuff and here's a sale. And that's kind of like the business model of that particular business. It's not an herbal business. So it's like, fine, that makes sense. But like, where are you? Like,
who are you?
Who are you? Where are you? Where are the real stories of how this service helps people? And it's not just in this pretty perfect graphic that people just scroll by because they know it's an ad.
Yeah, and people are really discerning.
People are very discerning and very savvy. So yeah.
The social media is you. You are you're great on that. You enjoy it. You're on it.
I do enjoy it.
But you enjoy it, and I think that's
I enjoy the content creation. Yeah.
That's like half the battle.
It is. I know. And I think the reason why some people they lose enjoyment out of it is because they're actually scrolling. And because their feed hasn't been curated to give them posts that they actually like seeing. I'm like, my comedian shows up.
Oh, I know. You love that. What's her name?
Miss EJ Speaks.
You love her.
I mean, and I just scroll through our little videos and crack up. And most of them I've seen already. I'm like, I don't care. I'm laughing, and I'm telling the algorithm,
I want to
laugh. This is what I like.
Yeah,
I want to laugh. So dancing, the comedy, other herbs. Since we herbs, they just send us more herbalism stuff. So it's like, okay, herbalism stuff. I had to unsubscribe from political stuff, and now that's not showing up as much because sometimes that's the first thing that pops up when you can't control that, right? Like you can't control the first thing I see when I open the app, and it's just like, oh, come on. Mm-hmm. But you can control it when you curate your feed. And so if you are not liking social media as the experience, I would really invite you into examining why, and like, why are you consuming content that you don't like? Because the only objective of the app is to serve you information that's going to keep you on the app. So if you are being served information that you don't like and it's really changing your mood, stop, change it. Go watch some bunnies. Go put on some dog videos. Go put on some flower videos. And only like that for like 2 weeks, your whole algorithm will change. And then you'll be in a more creative and like optimistic space. And like, this isn't so bad.
Right. And it also kind of gives you ideas for your own content.
Great ideas. We need to get Prosper in some of our videos.
He's in some. Niles does it.
So yeah. Boom, boom, boom. What else? We kind of went into social media. So what is that? Building a community.
Yep. Content to educate, inspire, not just sell.
Yeah.
And here's the last one in this marketing consistency. I want everyone to put. What do you tell me? Put your listening ears on.
Where are your listening ears? Can we see?
My listening ears.
Does it too.
He does. I get told that
he clicks them. He clicks them.
Like, I get told. Selena says that to me all the time because I have a hard time paying attention. Anyway, email is gold.
Yeah, you got to get people's email addresses. They don't want to give them up.
But that's not even true. People will give the email. I don't think that's true. I'm going to disagree with you respectfully and with tons of love. I think people will give up the email address.
Yeah.
I think people don't use the email address.
Yeah.
That's what I think. I mean, we don't use the email address enough. We don't email our list enough.
Yeah.
But if the Twitter down taught anyone anything, all of your contacts can't live on a platform, on a social media platform. That can't be the only way in which you can talk to somebody. There has to be something that you own, if you will, that you can talk to people. With that said, and this came up in Thursday's class also, if you already are getting email addresses, fantastic, you're doing great. Second thing, back them up. Back them up off of whatever platform they're on so that you have an actual CSV file that will have columns like first name, last name, email address, sometimes just email address. But that is what you have. And then you can take that and you can put it in something else. But if you always leave it within a platform and you never pull that out, you actually don't own the data. You don't have it. And if they go down or if they're just like, I don't want to, whatever, who knows? Anything could happen, right?
Anything.
You lose it. It's gone.
We're seeing the anything's happening.
I mean, you really are. You're living through it right now. And so all of that work that you just did to build that list, I mean, this is a reminder to me. I was like, oh gosh, have I backed up our email list in a while? I'm like, I think I should go pull that out so I have it. This happened on Thursday's call too. I had to back up our website. I was like, oh, I hadn't backed that up in a while. Because again, if you have been in this for a while, there used to be a time in which the backups were at least assumed that were being done.
Yeah. By the company.
By the company.
Like Shopify website, you have our website, and you back it up. No, they don't do that.
That's not the case. I mean, for some, it is because
Yeah.
you can pay an extra fee and it'll happen for you.
Right.
But for the most part, it is your responsibility to back up your stuff so that you have it. And that is even on, and then you ask, you like, where do you save these things? That's even Google.
Yeah.
I learned that in a meeting one day because someone was asking, I was volunteering for another organization, and they were asking if they back up their Google Workspace. And I even said, I was like, what do you mean? That's what you pay for. And he's like, not anymore. He's like, unless you pay extra.
So all of that movement, we're aging ourselves. I don't know the age of people on the thing, but all that movement to go to the cloud, all the backs up included, all of that, it's just redundancy. No, you got to pay for that now.
Yeah.
The cloud's not safe.
But you see the cycles of life.
Yeah.
This is what happens.
Yeah.
Get you there, it doesn't cost that much. It costs less, whatever. And now all the fees start coming in. Now it gets really expensive. But if you take those off and you have like a hard drive on your own personal hard drive, you can store it on there. But I think that's something really important to bring up that I don't ever hear anyone talk about it.
I mean, people are still like not backing up their phones. And it's like, you got to back up your phone.
Well, they're like, for what? I get a new phone. I go to iCloud or whatever an Android person would use, and you just pull it down.
Mm-hmm.
But
that also goes back to having systems and that organization of because it can get overwhelming to think about all the things I need to do and need to keep track of. But that being on your calendar for something that you do twice a year, maybe. Yeah. Organization is key.
Organization is key. Yeah. But I would also say, here's the other thing. I'm the techie, I'm the systems. Here's the other thing I want to tell, and we could do a whole class on this. You don't know your backup works until you actually use it, right? Everyone's like, yeah, I'm backed up. No one knows it works until you actually have to use it. So use it, look at it. And also look when you're about to sign up for a service. And I say this because I didn't for a particular service we have. And I wanted to back something up. I wanted to back up our standard operating procedures. And I learned I had to pull out each page individually. So if you've got 500 documents and I have to sit there and click a button to take out each page, that is ridiculous. So also when you're going to sign up for so many services, see before you start building it out, how do I pull this out? If I want to go to a different service, how do I get this out so that I have it? And that's a really big one when you're talking about systems and you're talking about how much data you're putting in there that is put in there to help organize you. And then all that organization could just fly out the window. Yeah.
What is this person said? I might go back to pen and paper, real talk.
I mean, look.
Yeah, that is real and true.
Laminate the paper because the ink can wear off too.
But this section was about marketing, but I feel like we do have some marketing videos. The most important part is that you're building a community and that you have to be consistent. And
you have to talk to them. You can't build a community that you don't talk to.
What do you mean by that?
You
mean like person? What do you mean?
You can't just passively collect people. You can't just collect email addresses, collect subscribers. Yeah. Subscribers.
Oh, that's how our son said it once. My subscribers.
You can't just
build his YouTube channel.
You can't. That's not building a community. You got to talk to them. You got to keep them engaged and
build a connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was it.
I know. I'm we can get more into marketing. That's definitely another video. We've done a couple of videos on marketing because I enjoy it a lot.
We could. It's just nice when people have specific questions.
It makes it more.
Well, There's just so many personal stories you can tell that someone's
Yeah.
kind of like, well, what else is there? Like, I don't know. That's all I got.
And then something. So our final reflections as we were thinking about this whole like building your herbal business to 100K plus is one, it's possible. Like stop thinking it's not possible to not have a sustainable career.
Right. That's a
Always
lot of
redundant.
negatives.
It is
It's
possible to have a sustainable career as an herbalist that supports you, supports your family. It's the business of your dreams. It really is possible. We have literally done all of these business models
At one point or
at some point or another. I do not recommend doing all of the business models, but I will say because it is a field where we don't have a blueprint. We don't have like this standard like infrastructure that you can just like pop into. There's a lot of creativity, there's a lot of resourcefulness within the field, and there is a lot of trial and error. I would say, and we talk about this too, like the holy grail of being an herbalist is something that we have to, or me has to dismantle as well, is not that you own an herb shop. Because I think that is so much. I know.
You don't have to.
That is not the holy grail of being an herbalist. There are so many other ways to do it, and to do it with way less overhead. So that we'll be talking about more later. But allow yourself I think one reason too, like, yes, we watched other herbalists, but I like looking at other industries and looking at people and leaders in other industries of what are they doing to build their ecosystem, because that will give you ideas. So don't just look at herbalists for what herbalists are doing. Look at movies, look at musicians, look at what just other folks are doing to build their entrepreneurial ecosystems, and you can use that format because if they're successful, success leaves trails. And sometimes maybe as an herbalist, that means that we're forging a new path for herbalists. That's great. But success leaves trails in all industries. So get inspired outside of just what we do, because sometimes that can be really limiting.
I would say that this is a really beautiful time to be an herbalist or to embark on becoming an herbalist, because the amount of resources that are available, again, we're going to keep aging ourselves in this conversation. The amount of resources that are available right now, you go back 10, 12 years, that wasn't around. And I think that speaks to why we have done all of these things, because it was trying to figure out like, well, what if you do this and do we like that? And
nobody was helping. No one was willing to help.
Yeah, no one was telling you like, don't do that, or this is how you do it, because everyone was like, I don't want to say scared, but it was very much like, I'm trying to see if this is going to work too. It is. I'm like, look, I don't know if I got rent this month. Like that was very real conversations. And those were real conversations that we have had in the past with other herbalists. And I know that when we embarked on this journey, there was nobody to really that did herbalism to help us on the business side of it. We had a lot of business people trying to like telling us things, and that was helpful, but trying to understand what model worked for us, that was really trial and error. But the reason I say it's a really beautiful time is because I don't think we're the only people talking about this. I know we're not the only people talking about this. I know that there are other people out there talking about it and giving examples and giving their insight. And that is so valuable. And now herbalism courses are including business, right? So even when we did our herbalism courses, there was zero business talk. That was just about the herbs. But now in our course and in other courses, you can get the business acumen, you can get the herbal, you can get the spiritual. And so that's why I think it's a really beautiful time to embark on this, because there's so much support.
Yeah. And then the other reason why I think it's a beautiful time is like, it always goes back to like people's well-being and like just the things that are happening in healthcare and like programs being cut, research being cut, tariffs on herbs. We actually just sent an email about that. We're offering a anti-tariff 30% sale on our website while we discern what our next step is. Because we've gotten emails from pretty much all of our suppliers at this point that due to tariffs, prices have increased immediately. Like, okay.
Well, because they did.
Yeah. So like the ripple effect, and it's just like, okay. So check out that sale on our website. No code required. Stock up your home like your home medicine cabinet, your home apothecary as you need to. And like there's just so many other things that are happening politically that are impacting health. Like herbalists fill the gap. I always say this. We fill such an important gap in healthcare because if people don't have access to modern care, and then when modern care fails, as it does in a lot of instances, where are they going to turn? They turn to us. Whether we operate in the gray in terms of licensing, and it's like it doesn't matter. They turn to us, and we get results that modern care doesn't. Or at least I can speak for myself as an herbalist. Like all of them don't get results, but I'm like I get results for people that modern care doesn't. And I think that is really the opportunities for us are only going to grow in that regard.
Oh, I think I would really say if you have the itch to be an herbalist, to work in the wellness space outside of the Western medical paradigm, I think this is I don't know if there's been a better time to embark on that. Now, that's not to say it's going to be easy and that there could be ease, but I mean, you still work. I don't want to paint a wrong picture. Yeah. But the amount of support that is needed is
it's only going to grow. Huge. Yeah. The level of stress that people are under, it's only going to grow. So this is your calling. This is your yes. Like we're supported in our visions and in our calling. And then the other thing, I think the final reflection too, is like build based on your options for a business model and where to start. Base that also on like your lifestyle. And I mean like your rhythm. Like I think before we even got a good example, before we even thought about herbalism, like our health journey got us here. But before that, I remember Lust Movement Cafe. And it's like, we were thinking about. We
always wanted like an event space or a cafe.
I used to work in the arts and be in events and hated it. I hated the events of it because it took you so outside of like the routine and the rhythm of like my constitution, but for whatever reason, that was like sticking as a dream.
Always.
And that's not who we are. We are not staying up until 3 a.m.
I'm in bed at 9 o'clock. I am fast asleep by 9 o'clock.
For a music thing. So it's really like that needs to be a part of your decision making as well. Is like your personal capacity and your rhythm. And there are some models that require your rhythm to be different than what it might be. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, we even have that going on now where it's like, we have this little retail, but we don't, like, we're not really retail hour people. And ain't nobody coming to a herb shop between the hours of like, you know.
I mean, some do, but
10 p.m. You know what I mean? Like, your rhythm has to match what you want to build. So that's just another nuance that people should think about and choosing what's going to work.
Right. Because if you're a night owl, perhaps opening up a shop. Not. But maybe it is. Like maybe you find a niche of, people that need, I don't know.
Herbal night crawlers.
Herbal night crawlers. I don't know. But just generally speaking,
Right.
That's not usually the jam, right?
Right. So it's like, think about that. But check out parts 1 and part 2. Again, we talked about mindset. We talked about financial systems. We gave 8 different business models that you can consider. I was like, do we what? We didn't put books on here.
You put books. You put it under digital.
It was just like under stuff. Yeah.
Under stuff.
So 8 different business models that you can consider and hybrid models. And then additional systems, marketing consistently, and Yeah, I hope this has been a helpful series. Like, let us know in the comments, in the chat, and email.
It's been a fun. It did not start off being a 3-part series.
It
We did
didn't.
not think we were going to do 3 parts, and then, as you can see, we can get chatty. And then I think the first one we're on for 2 hours, and we're like, we gotta go. So we'll do part 2, and now this is part 3, and I gotta go because I have to go pick up our son.
Niles.
What's up, Jenny?
Hey, Jenny. Hey, y'all in the chat. This person said, I'm starting from scratch. Excuse me, I relaunched my part-time business after being gone for 3 years. Where should I start with the marketing and the systems? Well, the marketing, that's easy. Easier. Start with social media. You just have to start posting again. I know so many people do the like re-announcement. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that.
Just start up again.
You just start up again and find a new rhythm into it. So whether it's daily posts, or if you can do 3 a week, like find a new rhythm back into the marketing and talking about just sharing your story. Where are you? And demonstrating what you're doing, especially if this is an herbal business. The hack for herbal businesses is like show people what you're doing, show people making money. I mean, making medicine. Like they're so curious about what we do with plants. Like that's one of the easiest ways I feel like to get herbalism content out there is through demonstration, and then talk about how the plants have personally helped you. What are you working through? Like I think the other easiest way is to have your own herbal practice. It's like I'm always with plants, so I always have a story to share because I'm always working with them.
But yeah, just like Jenny said, just post. Jenny is one of our students in Herbal Medicine for the Soul. Woo, woo. And she's doing amazing things, and she posts all the time. And I'm going to put you on blast, Jenny. I think it's fine because, well, it's YouTube, and she said she's going to get monetized this year.
Boom,
done. And then I just found out again, this Thursday call was fantastic on the business call, that she's putting up 2 long forms a week. Holy crap. If anybody knows how much work goes into putting up long form YouTube content, long form would be this if it wasn't live, right? If we just hit record and then we'd edit and put B-roll and what have you. For anyone that doesn't know, that is huge. So great job, Jenny.
But it's like, yes, just post, because you also let people will tell you what they want. They'll tell you what you want, but get back into a rhythm.
And do what people want.
Yeah.
Don't always do what you want. Do what people want, because then they're going to watch your stuff.
Don't take score too soon. Just commit to sharing again. And then the systems, that's a little harder to answer because we don't know what your ecosystem looks like already.
That is hard to answer.
Yeah.
Right. I would look and see what you have already, what you can salvage. I would see like what is it on? Where are you? And work off of that for a little while until you have your bearings and you understand the direction a bit better and that you're moving in.
And like, if you're solo, if for someone else, like, the systems part can be a little bit more custom. Send us an email. We can answer it over email. Maybe in another video too.
Yeah, that would be
a good video. So let us know. help@iwillaremedy.com if you ever want to connect with us. I do read most DMs too, although that's just a little harder to manage. And we gotta go pick up our boy.
Yes.
So
this was great as always. Thank you so much for tuning in. We greatly appreciate it. We love talking to y'all.
We do.
We love showing up and doing these lives. And yes, Renee, no one wants to sell themselves short with prices. And that should be another one that we do, of talking about pricing, because yes, there's pricing mathematically in terms of this is how much I put out. This is how much I'm selling. So, that you can have a profit, but it's really more of an emotional component after that, because about how much of a margin do you want? Yes, there's a part that the market will bear, but there's also your own wall. Your own ceiling.
That expertise, that study, like even the person on Thursday's call for Herbal Medicine for the Soul talking about charging for readings. And it's like, you're not just charging for the reading. You've been studying this for 4 years.
Right.
So it's like you have a big investment into what you've been learning and what you've been maturing into and growing into. And so that energy, that number around the energy, it really does have to feel right. Yeah. And when it doesn't, you'll know.
You'll know real quick.
You'll know real quick. You're like, ooh, I just did a whole bunch of work.
Yeah.
And it wasn't worth it. That means you need to raise your price.
Right.
And then sometimes we overshoot and you're like, I'm going to do, you know, a price that we don't believe in yet. You'll feel that too.
Because no one's going to sign up.
Pretty much.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much.
You.
See you next time.
Bye.